Hello and welcome to all. Today our first question is, which principles among the following was added to the Directive Principles of State Policy by the 42nd Amendment Act to the Constitution? Our options are A. Equal pay for equal work for both men and women. B. Participation of workers in the management of industries. C. Right to work, education and assistance. D. Securing living wage and human conditions of work to workers. Question was asked in 2017. It is on Directive Principles of State Policy, and the correct answer is B. Moving to the explanation part, we get to learn that the main topic from which question has been framed is DPSP, and the auxiliary topic is 42nd Constitutional Act. We need to learn these two terms properly so we can tackle any question that may be framed from them again. DPSPs are socio-economic rights which are mentioned in Part 4 of Indian Constitution from Article number 36 to 51. These are non-justiciable in nature and these are constitutional instructions to the state regarding their legislative, executive and judicial functions. Article 39 of DPSP mentions that state to secure workers and children's rights. It also provides for equal pay for equal work in 39D. In this regard, government has enacted Equal Remuneration Act 1976. Article 41 of DPSP provides for right to work, education and public assistance. In this regard, government has enacted MNREGA, that is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2006. In addition to this, Article 42 talks about just and humane conditions of work plus maternity relief. For this, government has enacted Maternity Benefit Act 1961. Article 43 talks about living wages and decent standard of life, cottage industries, etc. 43A talks about participation of workers in the management of industries. In addition to this, 42nd Amendment Act made some changes to the Constitution. It made so many changes that it came to be called as mini Constitution in itself. In DPSP, it added article number 39, 39A, 43A, 48A. We have discussed 39 and 43A. 39A is about equal justice and free legal aid to the poor. 48A talks about protection of environment and wildlife. In preamble, it added 3 new words, that is socialist, secular and integrity. Further, it added a new chapter of fundamental duties in Part 4A under Article 51A. It also made some other changes. Moving to our next question. Which of the following statements is correct? Our options are A. Rights are the claims of the state against the citizens. Rights are privileges which are incorporated in the constitution of a state. Rights are claims of the citizens against the state. Rights are privileges of a citizen against the many. Question was asked in 2017 and it is regarding the concept of rights, and the correct answer is C. In explanation part, we get to learn that rights. What are rights? Rights are legal, social or ethical principles about what is allowed of people and what is owed to people. This is to be noted here. According to some legal system or social convention. For example, in Indian Constitution, under Part 3, there is a chapter on fundamental rights. In fundamental rights, there are 6 types of rights. Number 1, right to equality from article number 14 to 18. Number 2, right to freedom from article number 19 to 22. Then comes number 3, right against exploitation which is article number 23 and 24. After that, we get to see right to religious freedom from article number 25 to 28. In addition to this, we also get to read cultural and educational rights in article number 29 and 30. Further, right to constitutional remedies under article 32. Moving to our next question. With reference to the Constitution of India, the directive principles of state policy constitute limitations upon: number 1, legislative function; number 2, executive function. The question was asked in 2017. Our options are: which of the above statement is or are correct? Only 1, only 2, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. Question is regarding directive principles of state policy. If you read them carefully, you will get to learn that these are simple guidelines to the state and they are not any kind of limitations. So correct answer is D. What are DPSP? These are socio-economic rights mentioned in Part 4 of Indian Constitution from Article number 36 to 51. These are Irish in origin. These are taken from Irish Constitution of 1937. These are constitutional instruction to state. For example, Article 38 directs the state to promote people's welfare and equality. These are non-justiciable in nature. Ambedkar held that directive principles are novel feature of Indian Constitution that aims to establish economic democracy along with political democracy. Moving to our next question. Which of the following are envisaged as the right against exploitation in the Constitution of India? Number 1, prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labor. Number 2, abolition of untouchability. Number 3, protection of interests of minorities. Number 4, prohibition of employment of children in factories and mines. Our options are: select the correct answer using the codes given below. The question was asked in 2017. It is about right against exploitation. If you read the second statement carefully, and if you are aware about the basic fundamental rights, you will get to know abolition of untouchability is mentioned under article number 17, and right against exploitation are mentioned under article number 3 and 24. Then in such situation, statement 2 cannot be true. If you eliminate the statement 2, you will get the right answer, that is C. In explanation part, we get to learn that we have to cover fundamental rights and its various articles to thoroughly analyze and explain this question. Fundamental rights are civil political rights, as we already know. These are mentioned in Part 3 of Indian Constitution from article number 12 to 35. These are justiciable in nature. Right against exploitation is one of a fundamental right, which is mentioned under article 23 and 24. Article 23(1) talks about prohibition on human trafficking and forced labor. For begar, what is forced labor? When one is forced to work without payment. Against his or her will. Article 23(2) argues that it makes some exceptions to Article 23(1). State can impose compulsory service for public purpose without discrimination on grounds only of religion, race, caste or class. For example, state can ask people for military or social service in public interest. Further, article number 24 prohibits child labor in factory or mine or other hazardous work. Who are child? Child are those less than 14 years of age. In this context, government has enacted Child Labour Act 1986, which was amended in 2016. Regarding untouchability, we have separate article which is 17, and government enacted Civil Rights Act in this context. Earlier it was called Untouchability Act, and in 1976 it was renamed as Civil Rights Act. Protection of minorities is provided under Article 29 and 30. Article 29 provides right to conserve distinct language, script or culture, and 30 talks about right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions. Minorities here are linguistic and cultural minorities. Linguistic and cultural. Moving to our next and last question. Right to privacy is protected as an intrinsic part of right to life and personal liberty. Our options are Article 14 and the provisions under the 42nd Amendment Act to the Constitution, Article 17 and the directive principles of state policy in Part 4, Article 21 and the freedoms guaranteed in Part 3, Article 24 and the provisions under 44th Amendment Act to the Constitution. Question was asked in 2018. It is about right to privacy. It is a direct question, factual question. If you read the K.S. Puttaswamy case, Supreme Court mentioned that right to privacy is part of right to life. So correct answer is C. In explanation part, we get to learn again fundamental rights. These are civil political rights mentioned in part 3, and Article 21 is also a fundamental rights. It talk about protection of life and personal liberty. No person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to a procedure established by law. It includes right to privacy, right to clean environment, right to shelter, right to health, and some other such rights. Article 14 talks about equality before law and equal protection of law, and Article 17 abolishes untouchability. Article 24 we have discussed in question number 4, and 42nd Amendment Act we have discussed in question number 1. In 44th Amendment Act, there was some changes made in the DPSP. Article 38 was redefined as state must maintain social order to improve people's well-being. In fundamental rights, property as a fundamental rights was removed and it was added in Article 300 as a legal right. Some other changes were also made. That's all in this lecture. Thank you very much.